Group B with Roboto there in the red side, BT over there on the blue.
Yeah, so our favorite interviewee that we just had on, his team is now there in the blue side. We can see their pit crew. Oh, and my famous favorite Spoon there to get the balls into the hopper.
Spoon cameo. Also, if I remember correctly, this is our first time seeing Virginia Tech so far in official 3v3 competition play in 2025. So we'll have to see what happens here in this match.
And I loved that great demonstration of the Spoon. Also love that sneaky little ad for NVIDIA.
Yeah, I guess it's the boot screen of like, I think if I remember correctly, like the Jetson or something like, so to translate, the vision computer, the computer that does the vision processing that helps the robot see, is manufactured by NVIDIA. It's called a Jetson. I believe it's just the boot screen where it just flashes up a big NVIDIA logo, but you know.
Yes, yeah. Although it is something to see that they've brought the laptop onto the competition field before the match has started.
That is a little suspicious here. They're on the VT side. Hopefully get things worked out in the next minute or so.
Yeah, but like we were talking about in that interview, well, so maybe we didn't get to it in the interview, but Virginia Tech, their team has been around a really long time. They are one of the oldest teams alongside ARUW. They've been around since 2017 and been in the top 4 in the history of this tournament.
Yeah, some interesting, some sort of stats, I guess, from our production team. Shout out to them once again. Roboto was one of, if not the first team in the North America region with a balancing robot. So there used to be all these special bonuses. There's fewer bonuses now for the exceptional robots, but the idea is a robot that has 2 points of contact with the ground. They balance, instead of driving on 4 wheels, they balance only on 2. They're not fielding it this year. If I recall correctly, I feel like there were some issues, unfortunately, with logistics and shipping at the tail end of last year. But they fielded a new fleet of robots this year, and they had a fantastic, solid 1v1 match against Purdue earlier, over in the 1v1 area. They're usually always barely missing groups, 9 for 10 out of the 8 that usually advance to knockouts. They're hoping to make that bar this year. But first, you got to get for this match against VT. We know VT. The little introduction, they've been around since 2017. Have almost always traditionally been top 4. I think they've had a couple of years here or there, I think, where they maybe slipped a little bit. But here in the Void, we're going to count down to match start. All right, robots quickly making their way out of their starting zones.
So those VT robots were fast.
Yeah, that VT sentry immediately to the central buff point. Red sentry also there on the bumpy terrain. But that blue sentry is flanked by both piloted blue robots. All 6 robots fully functional, seemingly making their way around the field. Red Sarah free, trying to take defensive positioning behind one of the defensive covers. We'll have to see who gets first blood, who gets the first knockout here with these robots exchanging fire of 17mm projectiles. BT having possession of that central buff point. They are earning that 1 victory point a second. And BT with the first blood as they knock out the hero. I believe that was that blue standard free. We're currently in that perspective. Watching their robot, you can see the little HUD. The robot is spinning, see a little indicator for that. They have that every year. Red Sentry also knocked out. Not quite sure what that kill was attributed to. But now with 2 red robots down for the count, at least momentarily, that adds 40 victory points to the blue total. Virginia Tech already half of the way there, with just over a minute played in the match.
And here they are pushing back into the red zone there as well. It's interesting to see that they're fast to move into that central spot, and you might see that that movement was a lot faster than some of the other teams we've seen. This is due to super capacitors, which allow the robots to essentially store some extra energy so they can come out and use that when needed to go even faster when the referee system is limiting what type of power they're allowed to draw and things like that.
Yeah, like I mentioned, there's a lot of power limits here on Master to try to add some additional rules to the game. But with super capacitor, you can store additional energy, a little bit of extra speed boost like a Red Bull for our engineers to help get them faster across field. And that was over quick. Blue does take the win. 200 victory points for that blue team.
So
Virginia
that was
Tech.
a really interesting match to see. All 6 robots were working. I wonder why the red team didn't decide to push a little more into the center.
Yeah, both robots were seemingly active throughout that match, but Blue just rushed straight into that central capture zone. And POLITO sort of hung out around by their own side, by their rough terrain.
It looks like we have the blue team heading on with laptops, so hopefully they're working on getting some fixes done there.
Yeah, that's going to be the red team on this side with the laptops on as well.
Apologies, yeah.
Most of the damage in that round done by that blue team, 10-10, 1,010 points of damage versus only 180 done by red. 4 robots killed there by Virginia Tech, and 520 17mm projectiles fired, only 100 or so done by POLITO. Not a bad performance by either. We've definitely seen worse, so we definitely have room to improve, however, with Virginia Tech. Maybe a return to form from them, and extremely powerful and aggressive opening play there in that first match.
So it looks like our Virginia Tech pit crew, there's only 2 of them on the field. However, they're currently looking at the hero.
Yeah, I wonder if we can get a view of that for the folks at home on the stream. If we can head over to the red camera so that we could look at the field and not the stats.
All right, so here we have that overarching field view. So we can see down in that blue corner, we have a couple of engineers with laptop out working on that sentry. We also have someone working on their hero down there. Then up in the red corner, we still have those few engineers doing some final checks by the look of it there. All their robots are back in the zone, so they're just kind of making sure they're ready to go by the looks of it.
Yeah, they have these 3 minutes of setup period. This is their time to get the robots reset, ready to go for the next round. These current group stage matches are best of, we're not even really best of, they play 2 rounds, and the outcome of those matches add points to their total ranking score. Then once we get into our knockout tournament, it's going to be a bit more of a traditional best of 2, or double elimination, best of 3, best of 5, excuse me. So many numbers, it's a little time.
Yes, I did just see a comment that first to the central capture zone wins. While that has been true in some of the matches we've seen, isn't necessarily the win condition, but I think one of the reasons that we haven't seen that is a lot of the time our second team just hasn't been quite as aggressive. We've seen a lot of defensive playing from the teams who haven't got that first center capture.
Exactly, yeah. Like here in Roadmaster, we've got that capture mechanism. It's a little quirky, you know, it's not necessarily number of robots on the capture point. It's whoever gets there first holds on to the capture point until they leave. But, you know, these teams have choices. So far, we've really only seen teams that drive up to the capture point, then they say, oh, someone else is on there, and they just sort of back away. Like, where's the aggression? Have you heard of projectiles?
All right, so it looks like we're getting ready to go. We just had some referees on the field, but they're hopping off now, so I think we're gonna get this match started soon. Oh, I think they have called a technical timeout, so there might be something going on with the field. Never mind.
Round 2, POLITO versus Virginia Tech.
And that sentry is just speeding around the corner.
Yeah, sentry race there. Blue, Virginia Tech with their super caps.
Going for it too.
Yeah, POLITO sentry stopping just short. Maybe they recognized that Virginia Tech had already made it to the central capture zone. Now both piloted robots quickly following with 17mm projectiles being fired all across that center lane. Virginia Tech continues to rack up the victory points. They need to push those robots away out of that green zone if they want any chance of stopping the momentum.
All right, and that POLITO sentry is unfortunately down. Oh, and their hero is now down too.
Double kill!
Yeah, double kill. Looks like that hero kill attributed to Blue Standard 3 there on that central buff point. Red sentry is revived once again, but it does start at low health and is very quickly taken out once again. That Blue Standard 3, now we're seeing a level up. It's already in the gold tier of levels.
All right, and something that's interesting about this is because they've put their autonomous sentry in that middle zone, both of their pilots are able to have that freedom to move around the field get that reloaded ammo and then go back and help defend the central zone. But if you don't have that moving sentry that can get to that middle zone, then one of your pilots is a little bit stuck holding that zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, like, there are definitely a lot of possibilities that are opened up if you have multiple robots that are aerially piloted and just leaving your sentry in that zone to fend for itself. Especially if you see that aren't being very aggressive and just letting the robots sit there. And with those robots killing the red robots once again, those extra 20 points per kill does push VT over the edge to a 200 victory point total. There's our final stats from round 2 of POLITO versus Virginia Tech. 0 victory points, unfortunately, scored by POLITO. No kills and no time on that central capture point. And those bars, not quite as blue as that Rose Holman versus UCSD match earlier, but still plenty of blue. Lots of points scored by them.
All right, well, that was a really exciting match. I'm hoping that POLITO in the next rounds can have a better chance at getting to that middle there, because they did look like they had a good chance of getting some shots and hits done.
Yeah, like perhaps with a team that maybe doesn't have super caps in Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, they're established. They have all these different tools. Perhaps they would maybe against certain teams, POLITO could win the rush to get to that central
Although
point.
we definitely didn't see that with this, because as we were saying, Virginia Tech is really one of those, I guess legacy is the right word, one of those legacy teams that has a lot of experience and has some of that engineering background that they're able to build on. Where if you're a newer team, you don't have as much of that built up amount of resources that you can kind of rely on as you're innovating.